welcome! Today we're going to make a video about how to make a salad bowl. Another video how to make a salad bowl. Yeah, another video how to make a salad bowl. You never know, you just might want to learn something new, or maybe I do something different. And we're going to make this salad bowl out of a piece of, well, actually I don't know what it is. It's cypress, tuya, or cedar, or a conifer. I don't know actually, but here, this is what we're going to make. We're going to make this video in two parts. First part is rough turning, shaping, and putting it away for drying. And the next video will be about finishing the dried piece of wood. First, we're going to make the square piece round. I do it on a bandsaw, of course. Here you can see the marks of the teeth of the chainsaw. I cut the bowl blank itself was like this, and I cut off a piece, and the pith of the tree was outside my bowl blank.
Why?
That's where the cracking starts, and I don't want this piece to crack. So first thing to do is to find out how big a bowl I can make out of it. The piece is 40 centimeters wide, and so about 32 centimeters it leaves. That is going to be the middle. I take a compass and draw a circle. You see the bark over here? I took that off. It goes quite easily. You can see I take two big pieces of bark off. Otherwise, when I will start to spin it on my lathe, the bark will go everywhere, and that's not what we want. By the way, I have a piece of bark. It's for at least 10 years over there in sealing.
Oh my god!
Yesterday I put on a brand new bandsaw on my bandsaw machine. It's a very thin bandsaw, and it's got two or three teeth per inch. It makes it able to do very rough work. Also very capable of doing green wood. I changed the bandsaw yesterday because we were going to do a video today. So guess what I bumped into the first thing in the first piece of wood I cut yesterday? A nail. Of course, it always happens when you have just changed your bandsaw. Anyway.
It's broken.
No, it's not broken, but it's not that sharp anymore, and it's not cutting that straight ahead anymore. But I'm always doing rough work on it, so. Anyway, let's cut this piece. This one is going to be out of the way again, because Lies likes a nice background. So there's the round piece with a marked center in it, and I have to get this piece on the lathe now. There's several ways of doing it. You can screw a faceplate on. You can also use a chuck with a worm screw. Just drill a hole and screw it on your chuck. But when I do a bowl, I mostly do several bowls. And I wanted to go a little bit quick. It was an idea from my father. And then I thought it was a brilliant idea, but then I saw that a lot of other famous woodturners were also doing this. The whole idea is that I drill a hole in here. And this arbor goes into the hole, and these little screws, they drive the wood forward. So the only thing I have to do now is and press with the tailstock until these little screws grab into the wood. The big advantage is that if I want to have this piece off the lathe, it goes very fast.
Yeah.
There's also a slight disadvantage, and that is that my tailstock is here. But
What's the disadvantage then?
because I can't go there with my gouge. But it's much more secure this way. So next thing is shaping the outside of my bowl. 95% of roughing out the bowl is done with a 16mm bowl gouge with a fingernail profile grained on it. And I will stand behind my gouge and start here, because here the most material has got to move, and slowly work my way in until I have the shape I want to. There we go with the first cuts. The flute of the bowl gouge is facing up. I put it against the wood. My handle is a little bit downwards. I put it against the wood. And then I turn the handle a little bit until my bowl gouge cuts. I'm almost round, rough shaped. There's two little spots over there. So one more rough cut and one more fine cut, and then we're finished with the outside. So this is the rough surface. I don't care that there's little marks in it. It has to dry afterwards when we're finished, and the fine wood turning will be in the next video. Next thing to do now is make sure I can turn it around, so it's got to be a little tenon on this side of the bowl. Let me first make the Now there's a flat spot, and I will mark the diameter of, well, that's done already, mark the diameter of my jaws. Let me explain that for a minute. There's not much copied of me as a wood turner, but one thing that is copied is this little utensil. I use it to mark the diameter of my jaws. Here is one. Oh, well, these are the, in bowl making, these are the two jaws I use most. Big dovetail jaws and just a little bit smaller dovetail jaws. These are 106 millimeters, these are 96 millimeters. When the bowl is wet, I use the big jaws. When the bowl has dried, it has gone a little bit oval in shape and I have to make a new foot out of the old foot. So it's going to be a little bit smaller. And then I use these jaws. I hope I made that clear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I understood it.
So back to these two jaws. This is the one-way number 4, the one-way number 3. And this little nail here is the, if you can see it with my dirty fingers and all the shavings, this one here is number 4, this one here is number 3. And this one is number 2, but I don't use that at the moment. Now that I've marked the diameter of the jaws, I can make my tenon. I make my tenon with a scraper, just an ordinary flat scraper. But as you can see, the angle on top is not perpendicular. The angle here is just under 90 degrees, 80 or I don't know exactly, but it's the same angle as is in the jaws. And that's very important. There's 4 rules if you want to make a good tenon. There we go again. It's like giving a course in here. Rule number 1, make sure that the diameter of your foot is the same as the inside of the jaws together making a circle. Rule number 2, never have wood sitting on the bottom of your jaws. Rule number 3, make sure that there is wood on top of your jaws. And rule number 4, make sure that the angle of your jaws is also on your tenon. And that's what we're going to do. And now you see the angle here fits exactly in the chuck. This part is not on the bottom of the chuck. This part here is on top of the jaws. So it'll be a great foot. So, and if you have made the perfect tenon, there will be hardly any movement when you turn the bowl over and put it with the back of the bowl towards the headstock for hollowing. So if I now spin the bowl around, there's hardly any movement here, so I can start straight away hollowing it.
There we go.
Okay. Same procedure. So I let the bowl gouge rest on the wood with the flute facing up. Turn a little bit on my handle until it cuts like this. And when it cuts, I leave the position of the handle and just pull it towards me. This is normally the moment that I take the easy core from one way and cut one bowl out with one long knife. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to continue working on the bowl gouge. You look great, please. So this is about the time that we have to think about the shape. What do we want this bowl to be? And first I want to know how much wall thickness do I have left. I can feel now with my fingers already that the bottom still is too thick. So I have to at least make one more pass at the bottom. I think I more or less have an equal wall thickness all the way from the rim to the bottom. We can check that, of course. Now I see the thickness. This is the thickness of the rim. Let me try and do it in a way that you can see what I'm doing. This is the thickness of the rim, and when I'm going down I can read the thickness of the wood over here by reading the distance between this point and the wood. See, you see? If I do it the other way around, you will see that the wood is getting thinner to the bottom of the bowl. And that is what I would like, because if the wood dries after the pre-turning, if the wood dries, it will warp, it will grow oval in shape. But when I then re-chuck it, most of the movement was at the rim of the bowl. It hardly moves here, so there is all kinds of reasons to leave this a bit thicker than over here. If I leave it thinner here, it also means it dries quicker. So everything is good. And besides that, I like the bowl to have a thick rim and go thinner underneath that rim. There's no real need to do this, but this is still the surface of the chainsaw. Let me just so it looks better when it dries. There it is, my wet bowl. The rim is wider than the bottom, so there is it can move, and I can still make a round bowl of it when it has warped and gone oval in shape. Now I put it in a box, put the shavings with the bowl in the box, close the box and put it away somewhere where there's constant temperature, constant humidity. That would be the best way to dry the bowl slowly. Slowly and equally. That is the key words for drying. I used to do this in a kiln. I had my own kiln. It was in the back of my workshop, but now there's stairs going up for the internet shop that's over there, the storage. I will build a new kiln, but my girlfriend's car is in the way, so we have a little talking to do.
It's her car. Not your car.
It's her car, yeah. So, last thing before I put it away is to seal the end grain parts of the bowl. If you look at the bowl as the whole piece of wood, it is like a bunch of straws. All these straws go in this direction. Here and here, these parts are end grain parts. They're all open ends. Over here, not. So it means that the moisture comes out very easily on these parts. And I don't want it, because I want it to dry slowly and regularly. So that's why I seal these two, well actually these 4 parts, and I do that in liquid paraffin. I don't have it here in the workshop because I can't stand the smell. It's outside. Ah, sun. So here's my liquid paraffin. It's warm. I put in the bowl. It instantly cools down and dries. And I have sealed the end grain part. So that is my pre-turned bowl finished for the time being. Put it in a carton box, put the shavings with it, and put it away where it can dry slowly and easily. If you just wait for a few seconds, then we will continue with the next video where we turn this dried bowl into a finished piece that you can put in the kitchen on your table.
Yeah.
See you in a minute.